Well, Merry Christmas. I'm delighted to have this moment to extend my prayers on this glorious day to all those who join the televised Mass brought to you by the Passionists now for many years. I recall having had the chance to offer this Mass many years ago, and I see the Passionists as real trailblazers in terms of connecting people, especially the homebound, to the prayers of Sunday Mass. I'm so grateful to the Passionists, to all those who assist and take part, and to all those who join this televised Mass in general, but I'm especially grateful to be with you today. My mind goes back to the shepherds in the field on that first Christmas night. Think about the shepherds out in the field, in the cold and in the dark, feeling somewhat alone. Even though there were others around them, each of them felt his own kind of loneliness. We heard there were shepherds in the region living in the fields and keeping their watch over the flock, and the angel of the Lord appeared to them. The angel said, "Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. For behold, I proclaim good news of great joy that will be for all people. For today, in the city of David, a Savior has been born for you who is Christ and Lord." I bring good news. That's what the angel said. Imagine the poor shepherds out in the field seeing those angels in the sky and hearing voices. It must have been a little scary, don't you think? Right? But they said, "Don't be afraid. I have good news of great joy." That good news was that today is born a Savior. Jesus was born that very night. And that meant good news for them. With all the things they were dealing with, that meant great news. But you know what? It wasn't just good news for the shepherds. Oh, they got up and they made their way and they visited the child Jesus, and their lives would change because of that. But you know, that good news was also good news for a lot of people who were sleeping soundly that night, having no idea what was happening all the way over in Bethlehem. And maybe even a few people not yet born. It was really good news for a number of men who were born blind, who one day would meet this grown-up baby and see once again. It was great news for a whole bunch of people suffering with leprosy, who would be touched by his gentle hand and find healing and dignity. It would be good news for people who were lying in the gutter, kicked aside, who were beat up upon time after time again. Or a woman at the well who was isolated from everyone else. Or a woman who was on her way to bury her son. This would be enormously good news for each one of those people. They had no idea that night what was going on, right? But boy, oh boy, this good news would affect them deeply. But you know what? The good news that night was also good news for all of us living here and now. It's good news for us who hear the gospel of Jesus Christ and who know the gift of his friendship, of his presence within us. You know, no matter what is going on in our lives, no matter what the circumstances are, this is good news. Early in the Advent season, we hear in the church, we hear the prayers and the words of St. Charles Borromeo. St. Charles says, each year the church recalls the mystery and urges us to renew the memory of the great love that God has shown us. This holy season, the season of Advent, and the coming season now that we begin today of Christmas, teaches us that Christ's coming was not only for the benefit of his contemporaries. His power is still to be communicated to us all. We shall share his power if through holy faith and through the sacraments we willingly accept the grace of Christ earned for us and live by that grace in obedience to Christ. It's good news for us. Very good news. For sure, there's a lot to celebrate here, isn't there? There's an awful lot to celebrate. St. Paul said to Titus in the second reading, the grace of God has appeared, saving all. The appearance of the glory of our great God and Savior, Jesus Christ. God has come to dwell among us. Jesus Christ walks with us every step of our lives. No matter what goes on, no matter what seems to be the case, Jesus is walking with us. He walks with us to guide our steps into ways that are sure. He walks with us to share our burdens, to carry the burdens along with us so that we don't have to carry these heavy burdens, these emotional burdens, these physical burdens all alone. He's walking with us, helping us with all of those. He's walking with us to encourage us along the way, to show us human dignity. He was walking with us to guide our steps in the path that leads to the ultimate victory, the victory over death itself. Jesus is walking with us. He meets us wherever we are and with whatever is going on, because he wants to be part of our lives, and he wants to be part of whatever we are bearing. Indeed, Jesus has come among us. Oh yes, there is darkness. Yes, there is darkness. And we hear in that reference to the yoke, there are things that weigh us down. There's darkness. Christmas is not an escape route, a magic wand, or an anesthetic. In the end, Christmas is really about seeing the deeper realities of our lives. If we feel alone, if we're suffering with the burden of illness, if we're worried about the condition of the world around us, Jesus wants to be right there with us for that. Isaiah tells us the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Upon those who dwell in the land in the shadow of death and of gloom, a light has shone. For the yoke that burdened them, the pole on their shoulder, you have smashed. For a child is born for us, a son is given to us. God bless you on this Christmas and throughout the coming year.